Hey, what's up? My name is Gabby. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be filming a book unhaul. And this is going to be the first book unhaul I'm filming in quite some time because these are not videos that I film very often. And I think the reason that I don't film them very often is because I'm always unhauling books. Like, I'm always getting rid of as many books that I'm getting in a month, probably. Because I'm always unhauling, I just never have a big enough stack at one time to do an entire unhaul video, but also because I fear people getting upset and angry with me if I'm getting rid of like their favorite book, or if I don't like their favorite book, or people will request that I send it to them when I just can't physically send all of these books to everyone watching this. I mean, by the time you're watching this, most likely a lot of these books will have already been donated. I get these questions a lot too of like, where do I donate my books, or where do my books go after I unhaul them? And the main answer for this is, if I have any friends in real life, I do have a few friends in real life who do read, and a lot of friends who have girlfriends in real life who read, so usually I will give them like a giant stack or like a giant bag of books at one time. They can just like take as many books as they want, so that's like my number one resource. Also, my mom has some friends that read, so I just give her some books sometimes and she can give them to her friends. I also do like to donate to my local like Value Village, my local Goodwill, and I also do take them to the library sometimes, or some small used bookstores in town that will take them. Those are the main places that I take my books, but I know everyone has different answers for that. But all of the books in this video that I'm getting rid of, I don't really have a specific reason for most of them. I noticed that I was kind of a hypocrite because in my bookshelf tour video, I said like, all of the books on this bookshelf are some of my favorites of all time, and then people were calling me out in the comments being like, then how come I see this book that you didn't like still sitting on this shelf? And I was like, oh my gosh, because it fits with my color coordination and everything like that. And I was like, you know what, you're right, like I am keeping a lot of books on this shelf that I didn't really enjoy, and sometimes I keep books for really shallow or really stupid reasons. If I want to hold it up at the end of the month instead of putting in the picture, I will keep that book until the end of the month. Or if it fits in really well, like if I don't have a lot of yellow spine books, I'll like keep that book on my shelf just because it like fits in with the bookshelf, it fits into the aesthetic, you know what I'm saying? But no longer. That is not happening anymore. I mean, it might still happen a little bit, but I'm getting rid of a lot of books right now. So, okay, enough talking. Let's just jump into what books I'm getting rid of. So the first one is going to be An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. This is a book that I've had on my shelves for years, since 2018. And I actually finally read it last month, and I just wasn't a huge fan of it, so I don't see any reason for me to keep this on my shelf. And I especially think because there are so many people that love this book, I feel like I need to get rid of this so that somebody else can find it and hopefully love it. I'm also going to be getting rid of The Last Thing He Told Me, because this is another book that I just read last month. That this one hasn't been sitting on my shelves too long because it was a May Book of the Month selection, but I read it, I wasn't a huge fan, I gave it 2 stars, so I don't think there's any reason for me to keep this. And especially since this book is so popular right now and a lot of people really do love it, I feel like I need to give it back to the world and help it find a new owner that will love. Some other Book of the Month titles that I'll be getting rid of, one of them is Half Sick of Shadows, and this is mostly because I know that this is not my thing personally. I'm not a huge fan of like Greek mythology retellings, and I don't think this one's Greek mythology, but it's some kind of like retelling of that nature, and these books just don't really interest me, but I do have some friends that do really like this genre, so I usually just pass on these books to them. I'm also going to be getting rid of Our Kind of Cruelty because this one's a thriller that I did enjoy reading-ish, but it ended up being like a 3-star, like it was kind of disappointing, and I just don't see myself ever rereading this book or, you know, recommending it a whole lot, so I don't see a reason for me to keep this on my shelves at this point. It's just kind of like taking up space. And then I'm also going to be getting rid of The Wife Between Us. I'm not totally sure why this book was even still on my bookshelf because I ended up giving this book 1 star, and I read it in 2017, and I think I just wanted to keep it because I wanted to keep all of the books by this author duo so I could like aesthetically have them together on my bookshelf, but that didn't end up happening anyways, so yeah, definitely gonna get rid of this one. Another thriller that I'm gonna be getting rid of is The Other People, and this one is mainly because I I don't know, I just wasn't a huge fan of this book. Like, I like CJ Tudor's other stuff that I've read, like The Burning Girls and The Chalk Man were definitely my favorites out of those. This one, it was like a middle of the road thriller for me. It was about a 3-star, and so I just want to give this up because it just wasn't a favorite. Same goes for Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. This is probably one that I gave like 4 stars, but I read it a couple years ago, and I just don't see myself ever rereading this book or ever wanting to reread this book. Also going to be getting rid of He Will Be My Ruin by K.A. Tucker. This might be kind of surprising because I've said in the past that this book is a favorite, but I read this book so long ago now, and I just don't ever see myself rereading this book. And it's so funny because ever since I've mentioned that this is a favorite book, I've had so many friends tell me that this book is actually trash and it sucks. So now it's got me re-guessing the whole thing anyways, because I read this so long ago, like when I was first starting to really get into reading. So now I don't even know if I would enjoy this a second time around, and I don't ever want to reread this anyways because it's kind of a thriller and I already know what happens, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. I'm also gonna be getting rid of Clown in a Cornfield, sadly. It's not that I didn't really like this book. I mean, it ended up being like a middle of the road, like 3-star book for me, but it's because this book just wasn't my thing, and I've discovered recently that I'm just not a huge fan of slashers in books, at least. So I feel like there will be someone out there who will probably really love this, and I don't want to prevent them from finding this book because it's sitting on my shelves. So I think I'm going to be donating this book. And then along with that, I also feel the same about these 2 books, Camp Slaughter and The Final Girl Support Group. These are both slasher kind of books that I DNF'd both of them. I mean, not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna hang on to both of these until the end of this month because, you know, like I said, I'm a basic bitch. I really like holding up the books that I read this month. Like, I'm so lazy. I don't want to edit in a picture. That takes up time. So yeah, I'm gonna be getting rid of these 2 books, as well as this month I did read The Elementals by Michael McDowell, and I probably will keep this until the end of the month for my wrap up in July, but after that I'll probably be getting rid of this because this was a 2-star horror book for me. Just wasn't my thing. Like, nothing against these books, but they just were not my thing. But I'll probably be passing on this book to a friend because this book is like brand spanking new. It just came out, and it's Grady Hendrix, so I know a lot of people really want to read this, so I'll be passing this on to a friend for sure. I'm also going to be getting rid of my copy of Rainbow Rowell's Carry On because I wasn't a huge fan of Carry On, and to be honest, I probably only kept this on my shelves for so long because of that yellow spine. Because the yellow spine is stunning, and honestly, like, this book is really beautiful. Like, the aesthetic of the book, wow, it's really beautiful, so I think that's why I've kept it for this long. I feel like I kept it too because of its connection to Fangirl and how much I love Fangirl. But besides that, like, I don't need this on my shelf. I also am getting rid of She Regrets Nothing. I don't really know why I had this on my shelf still, to be honest. I mean, I do know it's because of this freaking beautiful cover, and I love pink. I love anything pink, so it was sitting on my pink area of my shelf for a while, and I really didn't enjoy this book. I can't even remember if I finished it or not, but I think it was like a 1 or 2 star for me. So I'm like, why do I still have this? Like, I need to let it go, even though it does have the most stunning, beautiful cover. Like, anything with the city in the background, I will probably keep it for years just because of that. I'm also going to be getting rid of 30 Dates in 30 Days by Elle Spencer, not because I didn't enjoy it, because I actually really did enjoy this. It's actually a female-female romance, and it's like really short, really cute, but I just don't ever see myself rereading this book, and I think there's somebody out there who will really love this, so I just kind of want to get rid of it because of that. And then I'm also getting rid of Once Upon a Sunset. This is one that I never got around to reading, but I just feel like this is a romance novel that, as much as it interests me, I just don't see myself getting around to this anytime soon. Like, it's been on my shelves for over a year at least, probably longer though, and so I just don't see myself reading this anytime soon, and my romance mood has been going down and down and down, and so I just don't see it happening. I'd rather somebody else find this book. Some other books that I've recently read that I'm going to be unhauling is We Ride Upon Sticks. This is one that I read for a video that I did, and I just didn't end up really enjoying this one. Like, it just was not my thing, and so I feel like I just need to get rid of this book, even though the cover is stinking cute. Okay, we do love this cover, but it's not worth keeping for me anymore just because it's a cute cover, even though it's a pink spine, so I'm tempted. And then same goes to Rewind by Catherine Ryan Howard. I thought this book was fine. Like, it was good-ish. It was like a middle of the road 3-star book for me. Like, I don't hate it, but I just don't see myself recommending this a whole lot. I don't see myself ever wanting to reread this, so there's no point in me keeping this. So I think I am gonna get rid of The Bookish Life of Nina Hill, because as much as I did enjoy this book, again, I just don't see myself ever rereading this, and I don't really recommend this book a whole lot. And so I just don't really see a reason to keep this one. And I actually did listen to the audiobook when I read this book, so this copy doesn't have any markings in it or anything like that. So that's another reason why if I ever were to reread it, I really like rereading books that have my annotations in them, because it makes me more excited to find out what my favorite parts of the book were. And so when I listened to one of my favorite books on audio, that's like the only downside of listening to it on audio, is that I'm pretty sure I didn't have this physical copy when I did listen to it on audio. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I just don't, it just doesn't make me want to reread it, you know? And then sadly, I'm going to be getting rid of my copy of Rebecca, because I barely made a dent in this book. I think I read maybe 1 or 2 chapters, and I just decided that this book was not for me. I feel this way about a lot of classics, that the writing is just like such a disconnect, and I get so bored and I just can't get into it. And I know Rebecca is such a classic and everybody really seems to love it, but I just genuinely don't think it'll be my thing. I'm also gonna be getting rid of a copy of The Cruel Prince, and you're probably like, why the fuck do you even have this? And like, honestly, I don't know. I was originally planning on reading this for like a reading books outside of my comfort zone kind of video, but then I just decided, like, I don't think I even want to read this. Like, I don't really have the desire to, and it seems like a lot of people don't really like this book anyways. So I don't know. I only ended up buying it because I saw it like super cheap at like Value Village. I think I got this copy for only like $2 or $3. So that's the original reason why I even had it in the first place. So anyways, I don't think I'm going to be reading this one, sadly. I also have Relic by Alan Dean Foster. I think I'm going to be getting rid of this one because this book has been sitting on my shelf for literally years, and whenever I get in a sci-fi mood, which is so rare, I just always gravitate towards other things. And even when I am in a sci-fi mood, I just don't ever pick this book up. So I'm like, okay, I should just get rid of it, pass it on to somebody else who does love sci-fi. And then the last 4 books that I have on this list that I'm getting rid of are books that I'm getting rid of because I already have another copy of them. Some publishers are so freaking wonderful, and they will send me an ARC copy of a book so that I can read it and review it before the book even publishes, and then they will be so kind as to send me another copy when the book actually comes out, and then I'll get a final copy as well. And so then I'm always like torn, because I'm like, I don't want to hoard all of the books and like keep both copies, even though sometimes I think it is really cool to own ARCs of some of my favorite books. But it's also like, there's no reason for me to keep double copies of everything, and I'm always torn between like, do I want to keep the ARC, usually because that's the one that I like write in and like write all my thoughts in and everything, or do I want to keep the final version so it looks like stunning on my bookshelves? But anyways, I'm undecided which copy I'd like to keep, but I do have 2 copies of The Other Black Girl now. This is the other final copy that I have here, and so I'm probably going to be passing on this copy to one of my friends, just because I do have some friends that I think would really enjoy this book, and I don't want to hoard all of the copies, even though I do love the ARC version of this book. I also just got a final copy of the Book of Accidents. You probably can't see it, but it's right there. Yeah, so stoked that I have a final copy of this book, that I think I'm going to be passing on this copy to a friend as well. This is one of my favorite horror books of the year, so I almost love when this happens, because then I have the excuse to like send these to my friends and force them to read it. It's great. And then I also do have an extra copy of The Maidens. I did receive this ARC quite some time ago, and then Book of the Month actually had it as a selection. Because I'm such a Book of the Month shelf, like I love the organization of my Book of the Month shelf, so I always gravitate towards keeping the Book of the Month copy because it's just so stunning. So yeah, I'll be getting rid of this ARC copy as well. And then lastly, I do have a second copy of The Brightlands. I do have my hardcover copy that I absolutely love, and this is the one that I like wrote in, I marked it up, and I don't know, I love having the hardcover copy, and I personally prefer having the hardcover copy, but the publishers were so kind and they sent me a paperback copy, and it was really great because I got to do this interview with John Fram very recently on my Instagram, and so that was like the main reason why they sent me this one. But I would love to send this book to one of my friends because I want everyone to read this book, so I feel like there's no reason for me to keep both copies. But yeah, I think I'm gonna be sending this one to one of my friends, and I'm very excited about that. So yeah, those are all all of the books that I'm going to be unhauling this time around. I guess let me know your thoughts on any of these books, and if there's any of these books that you think I would actually like that I haven't read yet that I'm unhauling. And also let me know what was the most recent book that you've unhauled. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye.